little bit taller than everybody else. You saw the white sneakers on my way up? While I'm getting set up here, I just want to thank Mr. Brian Albertoni, Mr. Alberto Ramos for having me here. This is my first time ever in Tulare County, and this is just, thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Anthony O'Leary. I am 20 years old and am currently a junior at UCLA. I have been a member of the Real Word panel through Voices for Children, San Diego's CASA program, for the past 6 years. And I'm gonna be vulnerable here. I still get nervous after 5 or 6 years standing up on stages like this. And so bear with me. I'd like to share my experiences in the foster care system and what a huge impact CASAs have on our lives. While I entered the foster care system more than once, I stand here tonight because of what happened in my final case. I was 11 years old when I was removed from my home for the last time due to physical and mental abuse. I was confused and scared. I questioned if I was to blame for tearing my family apart. And going into an emergency group home only added to my fears. Some of the youth hadn't been with the family their entire lives and had been in the group home for over a year. I couldn't help but be grateful, but at the same time, the thought of being away from my family scared me even more. A family of familiar faces eventually picked me up from this facility and became my foster family. I was given the opportunity to live with my best friend in middle school. Could life get any better? It was a dream come true. All of the court dates, social workers coming in and out of my life, visitation hours with my parents ending up in no-shows, and therapists not actually providing therapy. I thought it was all over. I thought I could just go back to school and return to my regularly scheduled program. And while living with a friend seemed great, and it was better than a lot of the alternatives, it still felt like a foster home. I wasn't allowed to be myself, but was expected to fit into their culture and their family. Basketball wasn't their family sport, so that took a back burner to my preferred baseball. Christianity was mocked in the household, so I had to keep my beliefs to myself. They were a great family, but not my family. Little did I know this was only the beginning. My aunt and great-grandmother, who were always a part of my life, were fighting a battle on the other side of my case. While my foster home was supposed to just be temporary, and I loved the family, I still had a burning desire to return to my safe home with Auntie and my loving grandma. However, my foster family, therapists, and social workers had other plans in mind. My foster family wanted to adopt me. The social workers thought they were the perfect permanent family for me, much better than with my 90-year-old great-grandma. They manipulated me into thinking my aunt and grandma weren't fighting to gain custody of me, while telling my aunt and grandma that I had found my forever home and didn't want to move back. My life became confusing again, and I feared that I would be forever separated from my loved ones. This is when my CASA, Daniel, came into my life. I dreaded the thought of yet another county worker coming into my life and into my case. I didn't even know Daniel was a volunteer. He charged into my case with a superhero-like entrance. I hadn't seen my little brother for over a year and a half, as he wasn't allowed to be at the visitation facility during my visits with my dad. And Daniel quickly helped me reunite with him. Daniel and I also played one-on-one basketball, and I must admit that I did not take it easy on him on the court. One day, Daniel called me and asked me if I was interested in attending the CP3 basketball camp. For those of you that may not be familiar with who CP3 is, that is a nickname for an all-star basketball player that was playing with the Los Angeles Clippers by the name of Chris Paul. These camps were very expensive, but there was only one scholarship available. Daniel drafted me a wonderful essay and nominated me, and I received that one scholarship. That camp was amazing. I met Chris Paul and some of his teammates and many other players. I stayed in the dorms, built relationships that continued after the camp, and I learned a ton that week about basketball. Daniel also opened my eyes to new activities I never would have tried nor gotten the opportunity to. Hiking in the mountains was a new experience. I tried to ignore the warning signs of what to do if I encountered a rattlesnake. With appropriate approvals, I was able to go snorkeling in the ocean and kayaking off the shore of La Jolla. Both unique experiences I never thought I would do. I also had never been fishing, so Daniel introduced me to that. I didn't know to catch a fish, you had to work with live worms on the end of your hook. So, when Daniel realized my fear of those slithering, moving creatures, he helped me get the worms on my hook. I got excited a few times as I thought I had a catch, only to wind my reel up and see plants on my hook. Thus, I never caught a fish, but experiencing these moments and these activities with Daniel will always stay in my mind as great, memorable moments. Other than our activities, Daniel was determined to navigate my court case. He was the first person in my case that didn't have an agenda. He was independent of the county and the court. He was only there for me. I didn't have a voice in court since the case started. Up until that point, my caseworkers did all the talking. They determined what I wanted, what I needed, and what I thought. Daniel gave me a voice. Daniel took on Goliath when he supported me in my case. He encouraged me to stand up for myself and let the judge know what I wanted and what I thought. Literally, I got the chance to stand up in court and talk to the judge. As scary as that was, Daniel was there just for me, supporting me and giving me the voice I didn't have. He also gave me the confidence I needed. Without him, I don't know where I would be today. Because of him, I was finally placed in the home of my aunt and my grandma, and my life changed dramatically for the better. I was finally home. My case officially ended several months later when my aunt and grandma gained guardianship over me, and Daniel's job on my case was done. Aside from his help and the fun we had, Daniel helped me gain confidence in myself. He was the male figure in my life that I so desperately needed at that time. And he didn't abandon me just because my case was over. He continued to mentor me and encourage me. And at age 14, I reached out to Voices for Children as I wanted to help more foster youth to be able to earn CASAs. And they allowed me to be a member of their real word panel, answering questions for potential CASAs. And I was able to speak at some events and meet a lot of big faces in San Diego. I am thankful that I have played some role in other foster youth being able to have what I had, a CASA. As happens often, being a foster youth brings about a stigma with other students, teachers, and counselors. I, like many foster youth, have learning disabilities and challenges. I attended 13 different schools in my educational journey. I missed a lot during those transitions, which in turn affected my test scores. School staff seem to think that youth in foster care are not as capable academically. In my case, my high school counselor tried to dissuade me from seeking a 4-year college education. Daniel encouraged me to go for it if that is what I wanted, and it was. So my counselor accepted that, but told me not to try for UCLA because, in her voice, no one gets in UCLA. And also advised me to not go for and apply for national scholarships because, in her voice again, no one ever gets them, and it would be a waste of time. Once again, due to the encouragement of my grandma, Daniel, and my aunt, I went full steam ahead. Imagine their surprise when I was named a Coca-Cola National Scholar amongst 90,000 applicants. A Horatio Alger National Scholar amongst 25,000 applicants. And an AXA National Scholar amongst 10,000 applicants. Thank you. In addition to 13 other local scholarships. All of these will cover the expenses of my undergraduate education at UCLA. And I was as shocked as they were when UCLA offered me admission, believe me. Once again, thank you. Once again, my counselor advised me that I would set myself up for failure, as it would be too difficult, and flunking out of UCLA would be even worse. Yet here I am, 2 classes away from being a third-year double major at UCLA with a 3.5 GPA. Heck, when I receive my diploma, I might have to go back to my high school and show it to them. These last 18 months have been tough for everyone. I was enjoying my freshman year when we transitioned to virtual learning. I couldn't get internships and didn't get to know professors who would eventually be good references. I'm thrilled to say that tomorrow I will be finally moving back to campus. I was grateful to be able to continue school virtually, but I can't wait to go back in person. On top of that, through the various people I have met through Voices for Children, I have been able to land my dream job, a communications internship with the Los Angeles Chargers. Growing up in San Diego, it is still hard to call them the Los Angeles Chargers, but believe me, I'm extremely excited, as this will help me in my navigation through my preferred career choice, sports management. So, as you can see, Casas plays so many roles in our lives. Without Daniel, I don't know where I would be right now, but I sure as hell wouldn't be standing on this stage telling my story to you all. Without Daniel, I wouldn't have had the confidence to apply to UCLA or the scholarships. He motivated me to become my best self and helped me get out of a seemingly impossible situation. My Casa Daniel is much more than a court-appointed special advocate. He is a forever friend that I will cherish. I am so grateful for all the volunteers and donors that have made it possible for me to have a Casa. My hope is that every foster youth can have a Daniel in their lives. Thank you.